Hello and welcome to People Do Fun Jobs. This is the podcast which is all about finding inspiring people doing fun things and hearing how they do what they do. You can watch the podcast on YouTube. You can also listen to it and download it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So, this is episode 3 and I'm joined by Rosie Proudfoot and Jenny Proudfoot.
I'm Rosie and I run a design company called Proud Couture.
And I'm Jenny. I'm the digital features editor at Marie Claire.
You're watching Mr. Winter.
Rosie, you work on a very different end of the kind of work scale. Your professional life is very different to Jenny's. Jenny shows up to, well, not necessarily the same place every day because you're travelling around the world, which we'll get to. But Rosie, you've grown your own business and you've done that on your own mostly for quite some years now.
Yeah, long time.
Take us to the start of going, okay, do you know what? I could go down this route, but actually I'm going to do my own thing.
Do you know what? I actually always wanted to have my own business.
Me too.
And back to, like, there are pictures of me aged 2, 3, 4, 5. And, you know, I mean, I loved all the plays and dressing up and all of that. But I would take everything out of my mum and dad's rooms and I would put them all up the stairs or on a chair and then I would sell them to my family, like in the evenings. And mum and dad would be like, oh, she's doing shops again.
Sell us our belongings.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I wasn't making any money really, but it was more that I would just lay it all out like a shop, you know, like have a shop. And then when I was little, I was 8 or something, I set up a company called Buster. Buster made clothes for Beanie Babies, which were very popular at the time. So it was a real niche in the market.
Wow.
That was huge.
Buster was huge in the small borough where he lived, at the odd Christmas fair or summer fete.
But genuinely, at that age, to show that much
People knew
entrepreneurial
about
spirit.
Buster.
Well, yeah, those are early signs of entrepreneurial spirit, and actually a lot of successful entrepreneurs do have similar starts to their career. Stories like this.
So millennial, Beanie Baby clothes.
Yes, no, very millennial. But the point is that when I left university, I just knew I had to have my own business. I wanted to create, I wanted to design. And actually, because I've got such a desire to design and create a brand, and it's so visual for me. I have such a vision of what I want and how it's going to go and how I like it. And it's very kind of fashion, tongue-in-cheek, funny, cool. I wouldn't have been able to design, and I won't ever be able to design if anybody's telling me what to do. I have to be in charge of my creative output.
Running your own business is kind of something that I think a lot of people idolise and romanticise. Yeah. It's working for yourself seems like the dream to a lot of people. What's it really like?
I mean, it's really fun. I'd say it's a bit bipolar in that the highs are higher probably than other people's highs. You go and see your own stuff in Harrods and you're like,
or people come up to you, as in
like
Rosie
like
and I
fans.
were at a Marie Claire event, and this girl was like, she met Rosie and she went, oh my God,
she said we were just sitting around this table, as Dorno Porter event kind of thing for Etsy. And it was just a small event, and I was sitting around the table, and the people next to us were like, we were saying, what do you do? And the girl said, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, what do you do? And I said, I do this. And she knew the cards. She had them. She had prints on her wall.
She was fangirling over you.
And that, you know, these things.
You know, you've just triggered a memory for me. Actually, fairly recently, I was doing an event, and actually someone also knew about you because we got into conversation about, I don't know, cards or what to get someone, and I ended up going, oh yeah, my friend Rosie, you know, I showed her your work, and this girl I work with had your prints in her room, which is amazing. So, but those are the highest highs. What are not the lowest lows? Let's not be negative about it, but let's be realistic about it. What is it like running a business?
It's great, but because you're able to see very quickly progress that you're making. So, you know, you really notice all these changes that you're making. The main problems are that, you know, you can get very lonely. You know, I was working for 2.5 to 3 years alone in a beautiful flat, very bougie, very glam, that I was using as the office, and it was just amazing. But I was going there at the end of the day every day on my own. And when that becomes your life, and everyone on the outside is like, wow, look at you, you're such a businesswoman, and you kind of think, oh, all my friends that kind of go to work and have like teams and they go out for work drinks, and when you're on your own, that gets quite hard to keep that energy and momentum.
And quite noticeable as well.
What do you mean?
It's quite you're noticeably not with other people. It must be something you're quite aware of a lot.
Well, as a very people person myself,
A very people person.
Very people person. My dad actually always says he can't believe that someone so sociable has chosen such a solitary career. Actually, I've now realised that I need people in my life. So I would recommend to anyone starting their own business, if you are sociable, just make sure that you work in a WeWork space, or you work, you surround yourself. Like, I do a lot of work in coffee shops just to keep my so I'm talking to people and I'm out and about.
You also need people around you that don't you as well to bounce off. Like Rosie and I always say to Rosie is, and if I get if someone trolls me or something happens like that, I've got like 10 people around me that I'll be like, oh my God, this has just happened, and everyone will go, oh, don't worry, that happens to me all the time, you're fine. And I'll go, okay, done. Whereas if you're by yourself and that happens, you don't have anyone to say that to.
Yeah, you probably overthink it a little bit. Yeah.
I got a horrible email from a retailer once, and I remember it just absolutely crippled me. I replied really professionally, but she wasn't having any of it, and it was just I still think about it. The other thing I would say is that all the different hats you have to wear. So, when I'm doing money, or if I'm doing a meeting about this, or admin or something, or sorting out my receipts or whatever it is, if I can't also do that and design at the same time, I've tried, believe me. I now need to actually go offline for like a couple of days or a few hours. And
let's paint a picture. You literally, yeah, very good drawing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You design the cards, you come up with the puns, you make that process happen through a factory.
I choose the paper, I choose the envelopes, I'm in talks with the factory.
You are your own complaint handler, customer service.
Packing all the orders.
Social media, which is hugely important for your business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hats you're wearing there, my dear.
Yeah, and actually, luckily, I've just taken on a business partner and, more people into the team. And so we're going through a bit of a transitional phase at the moment where I'm not having to do, my fantastic business partner's doing all of the packing of the orders. We've got an incredible website that's been built. Like,
progress.
It's really exciting, and it's really nice to be like, oh, I can actually design a collection and maybe not feel so much pressure because I'm not having to pack every single order. So that's fantastic, and that is progress, and it is I'm forever grateful for anyone that helps me.
What is your favourite part of running your own business? What do you enjoy the most?
Trade shows. I love trade shows.
She comes alive at trade shows.
I've seen it, actually. You always get a little golden chocolatey gift, don't you, when you go to
hands out Ferrero Rochers like they're going out of fashion.
So only at trade shows, and this is not at retail shows. So Spirit of Christmas is a show we also go to, and that is where the public come and buy from you. Like you guys would come.
You're saying this in case loads of people come.
Should you come? Where? Should you want to come to the Spirit of Christmas, there will not be Ferrero Rochers. But when you're at a trade show is where shops will come round, they're buyers, and will choose for the upcoming season. They happen mainly in the spring and the autumn for the upcoming season, some in the summer as well. But I love them, and I get to meet loads of other friends in the industry who I just adore, and it's just great. Yeah, everyone that comes over to the stand gets a Ferrero Rocher.
They do. What a naughty treat. But I've seen people come up to you in trade shows who've seen your cards in other shops, and they're like, oh wow, yeah, I've bought this already. So you seem to get recognised. Well, your work seems to get recognised quite a lot. Your proud girls get recognised a lot.
Very much so. I mean, I will say I've created quite a recognisable brand, and actually when you're at university and you're learning about art, your style, they always say your creative handwriting needs to stand out. And actually something that I tend to do in that case is I never copy anybody else. So, I mean, I might lift a quote here or there in terms of I'll hear something, I might change it. But in terms of design, I stay true to exactly what I like, and I don't look to other companies or stuff and see, oh, what are you doing? I'll have a bit of that, have a bit of that. I just do what I like and it actually shows, because actually then you're not you're not one of many people trying to do this or that. You're just staying true.
But also, one of the greatest benefits of running your own business is you can choose what you do, right? You get that creative control entirely.
Well, I think some people go into running a business or a design thing and say, oh, I'd quite like to have my own business. And then they develop a product around the fact they want to have their own business.
Interesting.
Whereas I want to put my own designs out there, and I have a very strong sense of style. So I won't put anything out. I'm very strong on the fact that I will never release a product I don't love. I've tried it before. When I was very new to the business, I released a line of silk scarves, and I used to go and sell them at
Didn't you go? Wasn't that
to feel Portobello Market?
Yeah.
Well, I used to work at a pub
Years
during
ago.
the night. I then would get home at 3 because that was the time when our favourite pub actually opened late. So I used to have 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours sleep. Go up to Portobello Market with all my stuff, set up my stand, and then I just made these scarves. I mean, it was just I wasn't sure of what
It was an experiment.
Yeah, and I used to go and have a stand there at Portobello Market and try and sell posh silk scarves to people that were shopping in a flea market, which didn't work. But that was, and so I was selling one day, and Maggie Smith walked past, and I was like, oh my God, it's Maggie Smith. And she literally I thought, oh my God, she's going to buy one of my scarves, it's going to be amazing. And she walked past and she picked one up and she went, ooh. Ooh.
I mean, she has a name for herself as being quite a harsh lady.
I was thrilled. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted Maggie Smith to buy one. I prefer
the other
that
way.
she sneered and thought they were awful.
Jenny, whilst we're on celebrities, big part of your job, you meet a lot of them, and very famous ones, A-listers.
Do, yes.
Tell us about that. Why is that such a big part of your job?
As features editor, entertainment sort of goes in my remit, and so anytime there's a film, anytime there's a film coming up, they'll get in touch with junkets, with interview time, and you'll have to go and interview people ahead of a film, and I get the job, and it used to be terrifying, but I love it. I love
Who
it
have
so
you met?
much. Do you want to know my favourites?
I want to know you. Yeah, absolutely.
Jessica Chastain was my all-time favourite.
Oh,
She was
I'm in love with her.
lovely. I love her
Big
so
fans,
much,
big
and I was
fans.
so hoping she'd be great. You know, there are some people you think, if you're a dick, I'm going to be so upset, and some people are. And she was lovely. And at the end, so I was having a coffee while we were talking, and at the end, I was sort of getting hurried out of the room, and she was like, no, she hasn't finished her coffee. And I was like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. She was like, no, and she made them open a different hotel room for me to sit in and finish my coffee, and she was like, you need to finish your coffee. Not she was amazing. Amelia Clark, Bill Nighy,
Amelia Clark. She loved Amelia Clark.
Kate Beckinsale, Jude Law. They were some of
These
the
are all very nice people.
loveliest people. Everyone.
So they're very talented actors and actresses, and they're very attractive.
Yes.
And in love with some of those people you've just named.
Jude
And
Law.
They're just very.
That's not what I said.
They're very, very respectful, and they know that you're there for a job. They're like, I mean, it's not the funnest part of their job. It's one of the best parts of mine. But for them, they're just sitting in a hotel room talking to press all day.
It must take a lot for them because you're one of many
At the
people
same
they're seeing
time,
that
they're
day.
not going down a mine. Do you know what I mean? They're sitting in a hotel
not
being
going
told
down
how
a
great
mine.
they are. And some people, like those people, just make it effortless and easy.
But they're givers. So
they
they're
give you.
generously giving. They know what you need, and so they show. I tell you who was someone. I don't know if you're going to cut this because it's probably not on brand. But Eyal from Love Island 2 years ago was an absolute delight.
Yeah, he was.
Well, that's slightly less impressive. Bill Nighy, Jessica Chastain, Jude Law, but sure.
And the cast of Sex Education recently were lovely.
Oh, well, I'm a massive fan of Sex Education. Have you had any awkward interviews? You're probably not allowed to talk about that.
I probably shouldn't say their names, but yes.
Off camera later.
Off camera, off camera I'll
Off-
tell you their names.
off mic,
I
we
shouldn't
can
tell
reveal
you-
all.
I shouldn't tell you the names, but yes. I have had some awful interviews. I think everyone has, because if you're in a line of people, lots of different press going in one after the other, it only takes one journalist, which I had one time. I won't say who it was, but I interviewed one of my all-time crushes, and I was so excited. One of the most excited I've ever been for an interview. And the person before me asked a very provocative question. So I went in, and it was like walking.
Thunder.
It was awful, and it was really hard work, and I had to say to my boss, I can't publish this interview because it will make me cry.
Oh, Jenny, you have to share.
I
Who
can't-
was it?
I can't tell you the
she
name.
Can't do it. Okay, no, that's fair
But
enough.
yeah, you get some really awkward interviews.
You know the scene in Notting Hill, the whole sequence where he goes in.
It's not a hint, by the way. It's no one from Notting Hill.
No.
Rosie's giving the game up.
For Horse and Hound, and he's like doing in the different rooms. That is what it is like. And so if you imagine from the celeb's point of view, all day long. They sit in a room and answer the same questions.
Yeah.
And for Jenny, for her job, it is to come up with something which is different and make them feel at ease.
And to persuade them within 15 minutes that you're on their side and you're not,
but I mean, that's quite
going
hard,
for blood.
Because if someone before has just asked a question about an ex-boyfriend of theirs and they're like, oh, for God's sake, like,
What's the question?
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Big old question, Jen.
It's a huge question. In 10 years, I like to think I will still be in journalism. I love journalism. I'd like to be an editor-in-chief of a similar brand or company to the one I am in now. If that weren't to happen, I'd love to work for an app. I'd love to work for Instagram.
Wink, wink.
Hint,
nudge,
hint,
nudge.
hint, call me. I'm really happy with where I am. And as long as that keeps going up, then I'm happy.
and we're
That's
very proud
good.
of her.
Well, that's inspiring that you actually want to carry on in your industry. It's not beating it out of you. Yeah.
No, love it.
Rosie, same question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I would like to be selling in a lot more through America, all through Japan, all through and travel a lot with my work. I also would like to write a sitcom, and I have quite a lot of ideas for that. So ideally, I'd like to be talking to you having just won a BAFTA.
Do you know what I can see, and I can vouch for Rosie being a very, very funny person, and it comes through in her work. And actually, if you went down a comedy-only route, I can see it. I can see it.
Actually, very sweetly, you are taking me to see some comedy on Saturday, some female-led comedy,
That's right.
because he wants to show me.
I want Rosie to really see that she can possibly take her comedy down a very serious route. Ironically.
I don't know if I'll do stand-up, but I definitely would like to do some form of sitcom with me in it. So I'll see. Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
And then maybe a beautiful townhouse in London and New York.
When we said the jobs that we have now to people when they asked us like 5 years ago, they were like, oh yeah, it's always nice to have dreams.
That's so sweet.
Like, dream on. I told people I wanted to be an editor. They were like, oh, okay then. And now it's like, well...
I know you're doing it.
So I will be with my BAFTA next time you interview me in 10 years.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be right by your side on that red carpet.
Actually, who do I take out of you two?
I'll be interviewing on the red carpet.
Great, you can
in the
come.
press pen.
One of us will be interviewing, I hope.
Oh God, yeah, we'll both be in the
both-
press pen.
Yeah.
Have you been in the press pen?
I have been on one red carpet before, which was for the X-Files. When the X-Files made a film in Leicester Square, I was there. David Duchovny, he was the star of that. I had a little piece
I
of
like
paper
him.
with a little line that said, "Hi, you're listening to Jeremy Winter on blah, blah, blah." It was a very, very tiny local radio station. But when David Duchovny walks past, I asked him to read that and said, "Hi, I'm David Duchovny, you're listening to Jeremy Winter." And he looked at it, I said, "Would you mind reading that, David?" And he said, "Yeah, I would." And then just walked to the next person along, and I felt very humiliated, but I was pushing my luck.
Well, we will read it for you. We're
Yes.
famous enough.
The proud girls.
Damn straight.
And finally, what advice would you give someone who wants to do what you do, Rosie?
I would say work hard, find a real USP. So something that no one else is doing, and really believe it and live it. If it doesn't come from here, it just won't, And also you've got to really love it to do a business. Running a business is hard work, and you have to stay with it. And there are huge ups and there are huge downs, and it is constantly like this. It's hard.
Do you think that's what's kept you going throughout this all these years of building your business up, is that just love for the basics of it, the love of designing?
Well, it's also the business. I love the selling. I love the performance of it. I love the performance of a sale. I love the relationships I have with all the customers. They're really important to me. The growing something amazing. But I mean, I have to say, I won't often say my good things, but I would say I do have resilience, and I will stay with something.
I can, vouch for that. Jen?
Pretty similar. You have to work incredibly hard. I have worked very hard to get to where I've got to in 4 or 5 years. And it is possible to go from an intern to an editor, but you just have to work so bloody hard. You've got to put in all the hours. You've got to just dedicate yourself to it 100%. And I remember I had a job interview once as a fashion assistant at Porter magazine. And I was sort of saying, hi me. And she said, do you live and breathe fashion? And I thought, no, I don't. I like it a lot, but I don't live it and breathe it. And she said, if you don't live it and breathe it, you can't do this job, because you have to live it and breathe it, because otherwise you won't succeed. And you have to live and breathe journalism.
Good of her to be that honest.
Yeah, and she was lovely. But it's true. And I'm so glad that she did say that, because I live and breathe what I do. And because of that, I've got so far, because I put everything into it. Also, be kind. As in, it really goes a long way. And also,
I'm so glad you said that, because there's so
Big time.
many jobs, and from an outsider's point of view, I'm not in your industry. You do have an idea that it could be a very cutthroat, horrible at times industry. I'm glad you said don't be a dick, basically.
Jenny is literally one of the loveliest people ever, and people do really respond to that.
No, but also, how nice has everyone been to me? Like, from day one, everyone's been lovely. Like I said, everyone's supported me. Everyone's been kind. Like, I've never been treated awfully, and because of that, I will do the same for everyone else. I would always boost other people up and be lovely. And the final thing is, don't have an ego, because as in, like, when I was interning, genuinely, when I was an assistant, if someone said, would you mind making me a tea, or can you do these photocopies, I'd buzzing, wouldn't I? And I'd come home and I'd be like, I made photocopies today. It was wicked. I loved it. I loved this so much. I love my job. And you have to love it that much and be that dedicated. If you're a dick about it.
The first day, Jenny, because she gets all these amazing perks with Marie Claire. Like, it's just now we don't even we're like, oh,
you
cool.
do. You're always in some 5-star hotel around the world.
Always. She's jetting off here, jetting off there. And anyway, on the first night she came of her whole internship, they said she texted our family group saying, "Oh, I'm going out to a cinema film screening tonight," and we were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And Jenny came home and she was like, "Oh my God," and we were like, "I can't believe you got to see a film for free." And she got a glass of prosecco. It was actually a really depressing film about cancer. But she came home and she was like, "Actually, I wouldn't necessarily see the film again, but it was so cool that we got to do that." And now Jenny's like, "I'm going to LA for 5 days in a 5-star wine tour," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Another day in the life of. Girls, I think we did find inspiring people on this podcast. Thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Before we wrap up, your social media, do you want to share that?
My Instagram is Jenny_Proudfoot.
If you follow that, you will see you might get a bit envious, slightly envious.
Just remember, I do live a Cinderella existence, so I will do crazy cool 5-star things and then go home to my flat and eat, beans on toast in my jammies.
Which is
good.
So don't.
That's real life.
Don't be sad.
That's incidentally the character of the Proud Girl. The Proud Girl will, like I did, spend all of her money on her Chanel sunglasses,
exactly,
and then have to eat pot noodles for the rest of the month.
And can't pay the rent.
So you can't pay rent, but look what I bought.
Yeah.
And your social media, Rosie?
I have 2. There is Proud Couture Designer if you want to follow me as the designer, and Proud Couture if you want to follow the shop. And my website is www.proudcouture.com to view all of our collections.
I'd follow all 3.
I'd follow all 3 too.
Consider yourself followed. Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bam!
Bam.
Well done. Thank you. That's
Thanks,
wicked.
Jazz.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. Just search Mr. Winter Official. This is Mr. Winter. Let's go!